and friends. Just got back from vacation late last week and had my first day in the office yesterday. And it's nice to be back and back in the swing and back in the flow and taking care of everybody, seeing everybody. And everybody yesterday was asking me, how was your vacation? Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy your vacation? And the answer is yes, but the vacation itself had a few twists and turns and a few things go sideways, which I really couldn't get into, in between adjustments yesterday. Yeah, so I figured, you know what? Let's just make a video and give a detailed account of all of the fun that we had and everything that went sideways. So it was pretty interesting how that worked out. But we had a great vacation, but it was a lesson, a lot of lessons learned along the way over the last week. So for those of you who don't know, we took our summer vacation driving on a road trip into the mountains. So usually every summer, I'll pack my car into our trailer. Our trailer is somewhat of a camper. It has living quarters, and it sleeps our whole family. And we pack it with food. It's got a refrigerator, a shower, and all that. So that's what we did. We packed up the car, and we were on our way to pick up my son at camp in Brevard, North Carolina, which was about 12 or 13 hours. And from there, the plan was to go up to Alton, Virginia International Raceway, where I would serve as an assistant, one of the instructors there, to qualify drivers to bring their cars on the racetrack. And many of you know that that's what I also do. That's one of my hobbies. And I love doing that. I don't get to do it very often up there. It's a long trip, but we kind of make that part of our route. And up on the racetrack, there's a place to go camping. And so we were going to stay there for a few days. And then from there, the plan was to go down to Stone Mountain in Georgia and camp out there, which we've done for the last 3 years consecutively. It's a beautiful place. So at any rate, those were our plans. And, there's an old saying, when we make plans, God laughs. And this was just one of those reminders, humbling reminders. So the trip started off last Friday, got on the road, filled up the tank, drove all the way up to Jacksonville with the truck, with the trailer, with the car in the trailer, towing 10,000 pounds. And all was going well for the time being. It was about, I would say, 1 o'clock when we decided to get off in Jacksonville and have lunch. And we had lunch, and I really didn't need gas, but I decided to top off the fuel tank. And we took the extra couple of minutes to do that before we got on the highway. Well, about 30 minutes into our drive past Jacksonville over the Florida state line, I see a trooper, a state trooper, shooting off of the entrance onto I-95. And he whizzes past us, and I say, oh, look, he's probably going to pull somebody over. Let's watch him and see who it is. But he kept going, and we never saw him again. And just a few short minutes later, all the traffic came to a screeching halt. And we said, okay, we're in it now. We always plan for traffic, especially on a holiday weekend. But we had no idea what was to unfold from here. After sitting there for an hour and a half, we started receiving Amber Alerts that I-95 was shut down. And then we start seeing ambulances going in the opposite direction, southbound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ambulances just keep passing us by. And after 2 hours, people started turning around on the highway, getting off. And I think to myself, well, listen, we're on vacation. We're not in a rush. How bad could this be? We sat maybe in the worst case in the past an hour and a half if the highway is shut down. So we decided to be patient and wait more. About 3 hours later, I am texting my parents and my brother I decided to show them a picture of what it looked like where we were sitting. And on the highway, if you guys can see, I took this picture, and you could see the exit right there. We were very close to the scene of the accident after all of the people in front of us had turned around, and there was a little opening in the guardrail there, and they were letting all the cars turn around, but they wouldn't let the tractor trailers or my trailer turn around. And so we were about 500 yards from the scene of the accident. Well, apparently, what had happened was one tractor trailer swerved into another, sent him into oncoming traffic in the southbound lane, and hit cars and killed those people on impact. There were 4 people that lost their lives tragically, sent 12 people to the hospital, and shut down the southbound and the northbound lane. The tractor trailers were laying horizontally, closing off all lanes, including the emergency lane. So we were locked in there. And I turned to I was able to get a hold of one of the state troopers there, who was allowing people to turn around. I said, well, how long until they open up the highway? He said, 10 hours. And this was 2:30 in the afternoon. I said, 10 hours? How do you do that? People are in their cars. Our engines are running. It's 100 degrees on the highway. People's cars are running. They're going to run out of gas. They're going to run out of food. There's no place to use the restroom facilities. I said, how do you do that? He's like, we're doing the best we can. 4 people died here. So I kind of felt bad. I tucked my tail between my legs, went back into the truck, put the AC on, and said, yeah, all right, we just got to let these people do their job and just be patient. Got a lot of work. It's bad out there. It's really bad. Now, this was 3 hours into sitting there with the highway shut down. An hour goes by, another hour goes by. We're walking up to the front there, and they're still cleaning up. And I went back to the trooper because I saw him walking up and down the highway, and I said, any update? And he said, yeah, probably about 2 or 3 in the morning, they're going to open up the highway. And this was at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, are you serious? He said, yeah, that's the last report that I got, that they weren't going to clear the highway until 3 a.m., literally 12 hours later. So I got in the truck and I said, Yvette, call the hotel, because we're not going to make it. We still had 4 hours to get to Columbia, which is where we were going to spend the night before picking up my son in Brevard, North Carolina the next day. We're still 4 hours away, and it's almost 9 o'clock at night. Just cancel the hotel. We're going to be sleeping on the highway tonight. So she did that. And as she hung up the phone, the people who were at the scene all the way in the front of us started running backwards, waving to everybody, get back in their car. They're opening up the highway. So there they go. They opened the highway, and away we went. And it's 9 o'clock at night, and we're trying to decide, do we eat dinner or do we keep driving? We're exhausted. We're tired of sitting. We need to get out. Let's just get a hotel and just get some rest and get up early in the morning. Well, we started driving, and it wasn't really moving. The traffic was still bad. People were still creeping and crawling and swerving, and it was really bad there. So we decided to get off and get some dinner and then try to get a hotel. Well, apparently we weren't the only ones that had that idea. Everybody else was trying to get a hotel, and they did. All the hotels were booked up. Every hotel. We tried 6, 7, 8 different hotels. We kept stopping at one after another. Every hotel was booked up. So after dinner, we got on the highway, drove a little bit more. The traffic was still bad. And then we just got off and found a Walmart. And I heard that you could camp out in Walmart parking lots. So we found a Walmart parking lot, turned the generator on, got in the trailer, and had just enough gas until 4:45 in the morning to where we woke up, got back on the road. And before we did that, we were going in and out of the trailer just to get the bikes back out of the truck and into the trailer, secure everything down before we got back on the road. And we noticed the smell of gas. And we're like, wow, somebody must be leaking gas in the parking lot. And really didn't think much of it, but we got back in the truck, started our drive, to the toxic fumes of diesel fuel for the next 3 hours as we drove to pick my son up. And about 3 hours later, we took a break to get some more fuel and snacks. And after I filled up the tank, I look under there and I see everything dripping right out from the fuel tank. And there I discovered that we had a gas leak. We had an active leak from our diesel fuel tank. And it wasn't like a little bit of a drip. I mean, it was coming out pretty good. It wasn't spilling out, it wasn't spewing out, but it was an active, quick drippage from multiple places, which was concerning enough for me to think, well, is this a puncture in the tank or is it coming from the fuel line? I don't know. I've got my whole family. I'm towing 10,000 pounds going up the mountain around these twists and turns through the national forest at an elevation of 2,500 feet. This should be fun. Lord, we need your help now. But we were late to pick up my son, so I just had to keep going and hope for the best. So we had to drive another hour and a half with the fuel tank leaking. And I'm just watching the needle, and it wasn't dropping drastically, but I kept a good eye on it. We finally got up to pick up my son at his summer camp. We got out of the truck, and it's still leaking. Nothing's changed. And the question came up, should we just turn around and go home? We need a new tank. We don't know what to do. And back home now, we're talking about 13 hours. So we're either going to be leaking fuel 13 hours home, or we're going to be leaking fuel another 6 hours northeast to the racetrack at Virginia. So I said, you know what, we've come this far. I'm sure that there are mechanics in some kind of place up there that can diagnose it and help us, and we'll just get it figured out. We'll figure it out. Just there's got to be an answer to this. So got in the truck. We drove another 6.5 hours up to Alton, Virginia, and we got there safely. And we got up the next day. I brought it over to the mechanic. He got a look under there, and what he found was that the drive shaft, which is that long connecting piece that goes from the transmission to the differential in the back, and it spins. It goes lengthwise along the whole axis of the truck. It was actually spinning and turning, rubbing up against the fuel tank. Well, how did that happen? Well, apparently the fuel tank got so hot that it expanded because it was overfilled and it was pushing into the drive shaft. And the drive shaft was rubbing a hole in it, and the fuel was seeping out. So we had no idea that that was actually happening. But there we are at Virginia International Raceway. Once we found out what the cause was, that it wasn't a fuel line, we were a little bit more relaxed. And once we discovered where that hole was, we knew that if we kept the fill, we kept the gas below the fill line, at least at the halfway point. If we kept it below 15 gallons, it would stop leaking. And that's in fact what it was. So we were able to have a little bit of peace of mind and enjoy our time up there at the racetrack. And there is the actual part that was rubbed out that was allowing the fuel to seep out on the fuel tank. And so we found the cause of it, and we said, okay, so we're stuck up here in Virginia, but not really stuck. As long as we keep the gas tank below half, we should be okay, as long as we just keep an eye on it and we just stop and refill, every hour or so. And that's what we did. So I left there in Alton, Virginia, and I got on the phone on Tuesday after the holiday, and I called the place that installed the gas tank. And the guy told me because this is an aftermarket gas tank, it's a 52-gallon tank. What comes with the truck is 32 gallons. But when you're trailering 10,000 pounds and you're getting 8 miles to the gallon, soon you realize that stopping every 2.5 hours for gas becomes cumbersome. So I wanted something a little bigger that would outlast my bladder on the road. And that's why I had this 52-gallon tank installed last year, and we never had a problem with it. So I called the place that installed it for me. I said, this is what's happening. We have a picture. We see the drive shaft, it rubbed a hole in it and it's leaking fuel. Have you ever heard of this? I can't find anything on the forums. I can't find anything online. Have you ever heard of this? He's like, no, we've installed dozens of these. We've never had a problem with it. Let me look into this. I'll call you back. Well, long story short, I never got a call back from him. But while we were driving down to Stone Mountain from the racetrack in Virginia, I got a call from the manufacturer. And what he said was that there is a perfect storm scenario that can occur that may cause the gas tank to expand. I said, well, what would that be? He said, number one, you have to overfill it. And right away, my mind went back to Jacksonville, where I didn't need the gas, but I did, and I topped it off. And he said, when you do that, it can cause there's no room for the vapors and the tank to breathe. So it causes extra pressure in there. He said the second thing is that if the tank gets super hot, if it gets overheated, and he said there just has to be the perfect scenario. And I said, well, would sitting on the highway with the truck running for 6 hours qualify for that? He said, yeah. Well, that's what happens when we were sitting on I-95 for 6 hours. We had the truck running for 3 hours. And then the next 3 hours while it was raining, we would turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. So again, that contributed to the problem. He said, but he said, we ran a batch of these probably about a year ago. And if you got one of those, then what we did to correct this problem was we reinforced that weak area. He's like, so I'm going to send you a new tank. They're going to install it and you'll never have this problem again. I said, okay. So we still had another 5 hours of driving, and 15 minutes, I get a call back and he says, we're going to overnight the tank to you. We're going to have it there at Stone Mountain for you. And I found a dealer 10 miles from you who's going to install it for you. I said, is installation covered on this as well? Yes, we're going to take care of the whole thing. He made all the calls. I did nothing. We got to Stone Mountain. We had this beautiful campsite, which was amazing. And I'll tell you, when we got there, it was breathtaking. It was absolutely magnificent. Where is that? Here it is. So this is the campsite. When we got there, I didn't want to leave. So there's a part of me that I didn't even want to go get the fuel tank put in. I didn't want to leave the campsite, but that was our campsite overlooking the lake. Just a slice of heaven. It was just so relaxing. It was just absolutely magnificent. So we were able to go to the amusement park at Six Flags on Wednesday. While the tank was being shipped in, it was there in less than 24 hours. On Thursday, we brought the truck in. We stayed at the campsite all day while the truck was being worked on. Got to make some memories. You guys can see the pictures right there. And we just had a wonderful time. And the Lord worked it all out. And I will say this, it was stressful. That's for sure. It was definitely stressful not knowing what was happening, whether it was a fuel line or it was a fuel leak or there's going to be an explosion or, you have all these things going on in your head, but we remained calm. We stayed in prayer. We stayed faithful. And although there was stress, Yvette and I just kept saying to each other, well, listen, everybody's here. We have our family and, it could be worse. We have each other. And that was true. It was absolutely 100% true. If you have a family member that's not well, that's not healthy, that's sick, that's dying, that's a whole different ball of wax. That's a whole different level of concern. And I started thinking about that. And I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that we had a great time. All my family was there, all my boys, my wife and I, all 5 of us. And we're just blessed to have that time to create memories and be with one another and enjoy the time. You never know what tomorrow brings, but Lord got us home safely, and we're thankful for that. And we're just thankful for our family, and we're thankful for good health. And, I think that's a perfect lead in for what we have coming up on Monday, which is our Raising a Vibrant, Healthy Family workshop. And, all the things that people always ask me about what supplements to do to keep yourself and your kids healthy and strong. You're going to learn how much money people waste on supplements, taking the wrong supplements that don't work. I'm going to teach you the right use of immune supportive supplements, which ones work, why they're important, the proper dosages. I'm going to show you how to improve your energy. If you want to see 20, 30, 40% more energy every single day, don't miss this workshop. How to prevent frequent colds, flus, COVID, ear infections, asthma, allergies, and even reduce your risk of cancer. All going to be at this workshop. And how to boost your immune system by over 300%. Join us this Monday at 5:45. You don't want to miss this event. Tell your family, friends, loved ones. If you have not yet registered, only a few seats remain. So make sure that you get up out of your seat there, go up to the front, put your name down, put the names of your guests down. This will be a life-changing event. I promise you that. We only do this event once a year. And as of recent, a lot of the information has been censored. YouTube calls it medical misinformation. I shouldn't even be saying that. They'll probably take this video down. And if they do, we'll have to run it somewhere else. But, I only share facts. And, I believe in informed consent. I believe that everybody has the right to the information, and they also have the right to make their own decisions. And I don't believe in censorship. So at this workshop, I'm going to tell it like it is, unfiltered, unwatered down, no sugarcoating it. You're going to get it 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless.